Okay, guys, alternate ending. Take 43.
With so many movies on the net and TV, it's kinda hard being up and film savvy. Do you catch a show while you're on the go? And how do you know what to keep or what to throw? How do you know what to keep or what to throw? Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Now! Please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Alternate Ending.
Welcome to Alternating. We're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm film school dropout Robert Jarsinski. Across from me is our casual moviegoer Carrie Jarsinski and our very own critic in residence Tim Brayton, with 50 Shades Freed pounding its way into the box office.
Pounding real hard.
Pounding real hard this weekend. We're covering our top 5 sex scenes, and already, Carrie, you are blushing.
No, I'm not.
I feel like if the Facebook audience who's tuning right now on Facebook Live wants to have a drinking game, they could probably just simply go off of how many times you blushed.
Anytime Carrie has an expression that makes you feel like you need to take a drink, and you will maybe make it 20 minutes into the episode.
I don't know. I feel like I'm coming into this. I've prepped myself with all the potential things that you guys might say that are going to be offensive or crude.
Well, you see, all you've really done then is give me a challenge.
That's
So
that's good. That's good.
Well, this episode's special mainly because Carrie, last minute, I had thrown down the gauntlet to do this broadcasting thing where hopefully we could have, people were complaining that you could only see like one wide shot of the group. So now we have cameras up in our face as we record this episode, broadcasting live to our Facebook audience. Made in part because Carrie made an Amazon purchase.
You did.
Like, what time did you make it? Yesterday?
It was yesterday around 4 p.m.
Around 4 p.m.
Yeah.
We did the one-day Amazon drop-off.
Amazon pickup.
Amazon pickup, and you go to the downtown area. And I've never done this before. Have you done this, Tim?
I have not done this. It's actually, the pickup place is like within spitting distance of my office, but I've never been.
Amazon can just keep taking my money because it is the
What do they
coolest
do?
experience. So
I like that you've officially voted for one world government led by Amazon.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
If they add this much convenience to my life, I'm totally for it. So I go with my little passcode, and it says when I get near the Amazon pickup, I just click it, generates a barcode, and to go to a locker. So
Okay.
I enter this really cool looking building, very modern and everything inside, with some Amazon employees in there. I go to my locker and I scan my barcode, and in the locker, within the 1 minute that I've said I'm here, my package is in the locker. It's amazing.
You know who else made everyone's life very convenient? In Germany in the 30s. This wasn't Amazon.
It was Amazon?
It was not
Amazon.
No.
Okay.
Are you talking about Hitler?
I'm talking about Hitler.
Did he have lockers with stuff in them?
Presumably.
Interesting.
I mean, the SS had to keep their shit someplace.
That's true.
So lockers is
I wonder if they had a barcode system back then.
Ooh.
What?
They did, yeah.
Delete that. Delete that part.
I was talking about the products.
Yeah, I
Delete
wonder if
that.
the Nazis had a
Delete
numerical system for keeping track
Okay.
of things.
The good thing is, delete that.
Delete that.
All right, yeah.
Thank you.
It's not like, Facebook hasn't heard.
Yeah, but that's only like, what, maybe 3 people?
Hopefully
3 people and the 300 other people
Hopefully
who watch
3.
it later.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
no, that's the part you're going to delete.
fine. I can't delete that from
You can
Facebook
delete
Live.
whatever you want. You have editing.
Let's move along.
software. Let's
Let's
move
move
along.
along.
Let's talk about some movies. Tim, you were
Yes.
curious. I failed at my goal this past year of watching 200 movies, so it's a fresh year.
I succeeded at your goal.
Fresh. Yes, you did almost doubled my goal.
I more than doubled your goal, in fact.
So it's a fresh year. Let's take a fresh look at what are we setting our goals at this year.
Well,
What was yours last year?
so my last year, my goal was to complete the 52 Films by Women challenge.
You did that?
Which I did by the skin of my teeth. My second to last film of 2017 was in fact my 52nd film directed by a woman. So I'm setting my goal this year a little narrower, but also a lot harder because of availability issues. So about a month ago, I reviewed a movie by Patreon request for commenter WBTN. The film was Duel by Jacques Rivette. And I loved it a lot. And I sort of got a little Rivette crazy as a result of watching that film. He's directed several features, of which I have now seen 3, counting Duel. So my goal is to watch, if possible, everything Rivette did. That involves a grand total of 32 projects if we include short films and short features and a TV series he did. Now, the trick is that not much of that stuff is easily available, especially not in the United States. So I may already be doomed. Like there's at least 4 things on that list of 32 projects that might just simply not be available. But my goal is to watch all 32 things by Jacques Rivette and review all 32 things by Jacques Rivette. So,
And what's the total number of movies that you'll see next year?
more than 32.
More than 32?
I would imagine that number will probably be, I think between 300 and 400 new titles is usually where I end up. I think that's a good number.
What are you saying? What did you end up last year? Can refresh my memory?
114.
Okay.
I'm going for 125 this year.
Wow.
All right.
Is that a fair, am I sandbagging? Or is that a good number?
I mean,
Do you feel that the 114 was an ordeal? Was it hard for you to get that far?
Yeah, there were days where I was like, I really don't want to watch a movie, but I did anyway.
And here's the problem, Tim. Right now, Game of Thrones. Karen and I just started. It was a mistake.
Well, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
That was
we're
dumb as hell.
and it's pretty graphic too.
Yeah, Rob can't handle the nudity.
So I've been wanting to. I can handle the.
So
nudity. We're
this
having
list
top
must
5
have been
sex
a lot
scenes.
of fun.
Yeah.
So
I can handle nudity.
just for the record, and I could have done this math in my head. I don't know why I just broke out a calculator. 122 is an average of 1 film every 3 days.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 120. I'm going to go with 130 and really push myself.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many are you at so far?
Maybe 7.
Huh.
I'm
Yeah.
lying. I don't know. Follow me on Letterboxd, Tim.
All right.
And
I
you'll
do
know.
follow you on Letterboxd.
Well, I fell short of my goal of 200. I ended up at 186, and I don't feel comfortable saying 200 because I did struggle to get the 186. I feel I put in a lot of time, particularly when I traveled, putting away quite a few movies. But it's just the days when I'm here. It's
When
like
you're
it just
bogged
never
down with your family.
It just doesn't feel like at nighttime, like 9 o'clock after you get the girls down. It just doesn't feel like I want to put in 2 hours.
So don't watch 2-hour-long movies.
It's tough.
Shorts,
Watch yourself some
documentaries.
nice 75-minute 30s comedies.
I'm going to go for 200
Do that.
again.
All right.
I think I'm
All
about
right.
16 in so far this year, so I'm behind schedule already. So I've got
gotta catch up.
I've got to start catching up. We've already started catching up on some movies with our worth mentioning. You guys ready to dive in there?
Yeah.
I'd be up for some worth mentioning
All right.
segment.
What is the worth mentioning segment of the movies we've seen since the last episode? Which are the ones we want to talk about most? They could be great movies. They could be terrible. We share them either way. Care, how many movies have you seen in the last week? I know you were trying to crunch numbers for the
Is
year.
it 2? Have I seen more than 2? I saw Mudbound and I saw A Ghost Story.
That's right. I guess we did see just the two.
Just the two?
Just the 2, yes.
So,
What's it going to be?
I think I'm going to talk about Mudbound. Which one did you like more?
Which one did I like more?
Yeah.
Of those 2, Mudbound.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Mudbound.
Okay.
So, this one's directed by Dee Reese.
That is correct. Thank you for waiting until I had just put liquid in my mouth to ask me that question. Yes, Dee Reese.
Short for like
It wasn't a
Deandra,
question. I
right?
was just looking
I
at
don't
you.
actually know.
Okay.
Is it? It's written by Virgil Williams. Dee Reese helped out as well, and then it's based on a book by Hilary Jordan. So it stars Jason Mitchell as Runzel, Carey Mulligan plays Laura, who's the gal, and then Garrett Hedlund is Jamie, who's the steamy guy in this one, and then Jason Clarke, who's the frumpy guy named Henry. And so it is just a really, I don't know. It's like a really like dark in the way that it's like gloomy, slow paced story about 2 men who come back from World War II. This Jason Mitchell guy, Runzel, and Garrett Hedlund. They come back from World War II, and they're very much equal in the eyes of, I think, people while they're away. They're both of a different race. And then they come back to this rural town in Mississippi where they're kind of like, oh, you guys are still jerks over here in Mississippi. And so he has to deal with all these really terrible, terrible people. And it feels like it was a great movie, but in a lot of ways it was like the terribleness had outweighed these moments of redemption. Like there were these moments where you're like, oh, there are good people.
So
And
you're
it
saying
felt-
that you wanted a happy movie about race relations in Mississippi in the 1950s.
I mean, I could have focused on it a little bit more, you know?
Wasn't that The Help? Was that in Mississippi?
That was in Alabama,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
They're the
Someplace.
same
Yeah.
place, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. There were a couple scenes in there that were really tough to to deal with and hard to process. And so it was like I wanted more of those bright spots in Mississippi at that time.
Beautiful movie, though. I mean,
God.
And
very, very beautiful movie.
It's
really
like
muddy.
a literary movie. It feels like a novel.
It feels like a novel. I think it does a great job of transposing like literary novelistic structure to a movie. And you say beautiful, nominated for an Oscar for cinematography. Rachel Morrison became the first woman nominated for that award. So kudos to her. Very, very well earned.
So I hope she gets that. But
She won't.
no.
No.
What's the other thing that's going to win that?
I don't want to say the name of the movie that I think is going to win that award out loud because I don't want to jinx it.
Okay.
But it will potentially...
What does it rhyme with?
It rhymes with Raid Blunner.
Oh, okay. I liked Raid Blunner.
Yeah,
that was a
When
good
you
one.
think cinematography, think picture book. If your movie was a
Yeah,
picture
you were
book,
saying that when
that's
we were
how I like to
watching
think
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Like a little photo book.
Do I recommend this movie to people? Probably. If you've got like a
If you got
strong
a stomach, if you got a stomach for
Most of us have
content.
stomachs. If
Most
we
of us have
don't,
stomachs.
we are probably living in a hospital or in some sort of other very...
Indeed. But
Very
I don't know. Would
strict.
you recommend this to people?
Oh, definitely. This movie made my top 20 of the year. I don't rank my number 11 through 20, although I can say that if I did rank, this one would have been pretty damn close to the top 10. So, no, I totally recommend this movie. I think it's
Okay.
great.
So go see it on a gloomy day.
Streaming on Netflix.
Streaming on Netflix.
A Netflix original production.
Yeah.
No less.
One of their finest, if not
the
finest. Yeah. Made for like $10 million.
Oh,
I don't know how
it
you
was
make
dirt
an
cheap.
epic.
Well, it was
an
made
epic.
for less than... It was bought for $10 million
bought for
bucks,
10.
which was already a profit to the production team.
Amazing.
That's
I'm curious. I want to see more of what Dee Rees, director, has to offer.
I'm just going to throw this out there. 2008, Dee Rees' first feature film, Pariah. Phenomenal story about a black teenage lesbian like dealing with all three of those facets of her identity in a place that doesn't necessarily want all three of those things to be combined at once.
What was the third thing?
Beautiful cinematography. Black, teenage, and lesbian.
Oh, teenage. Oh, like
It's an identity. People
it's
have
an identity
identities
as a
teenagers.
teenager. Okay. All right, I'm with you. I kind of want to see that. I actually heard about that.
It's
and I
gorgeous.
heard it was
It's
really
one
good.
of the most beautiful movies of the 2000s.
Okay.
Tim, how about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I had a pretty light week, but since we didn't do a worth mentioning last time, I thought I would switch up the formula a little bit. So I'm going to look over the many, 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 many films that I watched since our last podcast before the break, which is more than 50. I stopped counting at 50. And what I'm going to do for my worth mentioning segment is I'm going to pick a film for, I think, each of you. Not that you have to see it, just a film that I think each of you would like.
Okay.
So
What if we've already seen it?
then tell me, and I
Okay.
will pick another one.
Okay. What's
According
for me?
to Letterboxd, you haven't seen these. I checked it out. So, Carrie, the movie that I saw that I think you would really get a kick out of is The Greatest Showman.
I really want to see that.
This is what I'm saying. So, it's a musical about Hugh Jackman as P.T. Barnum. Very colorful, very spectacular. It's not good, but it's like fun. It's so much fun in its not goodness.
Are you describing me right now?
Yes. No, it's kind of trashy, kind of stupid, has pretty bad songs, but it
has wispy hair.
It has wispy hair and it blushes a lot. No, it's a really like go out there and put on a show sort of full of musical hokum. Really, really fun, despite being absolute shit. As a movie.
Okay.
And I feel
I
like
love
that's
movies like that.
This is the kind of movie that I think you'd like. And Rob,
What does Rob get?
My pick for you is a brainy sci-fi film, which sometimes you like and sometimes you don't.
I do like
But
brainy. That is me.
I think this is one that you'd be on board with. This is Marjorie Prime.
Yeah, I missed it.
on your list. You
It
were
was on my
supposed to
list.
see it.
I didn't.
So Marjorie Prime is a film set in around 2040, 2050. It doesn't really specify, but we can figure that out. It's in a world where people have holograms of their deceased loved ones. And Marjorie, played wonderfully by Lois Smith, who originated the role in the play that this is based on, is a woman who is losing her brain to dementia. And so her daughter and son-in-law buy her a prime, a hologram of her husband, played by John Hamm. So it's her husband when he was still young and sexy and hunky. And it just becomes this really interesting four-way debate about what is identity, what is memory, like how do we choose to live in our memories of who we were in the past. Really, really cool in that it is clearly based on a play, but the director, Michael Almereyda, has done a phenomenal job of like making it a movie. And without like there's no scene where they go to the carnival or anything. He doesn't open it up. He just really uses the camera in a way that it doesn't always get used.
Hearing you describe it, seeing the stills, tell me if I'm close. Is it Black Mirror mixed with Frank and Robot and Frank?
It's It's like Black Mirror mixed with other Black Mirror.
Okay.
It's very Black Mirror.
It is very Black. I
Like a little
like
Blade
Black Mirror.
Runner with like the hologram thing?
Sure. No.
No.
None.
Because there's a hologram there, you know?
There is a hologram. There is a hologram that got talked about a lot in the comments to our sex post. No
That's
less.
what I was going to say. that was a really high value one
Yeah.
for a lot of
There is
commenters.
sadly not a scene where Lois Smith and hologram John Hamm get it on.
Okay.
I feel like that's the one
Lost a
You
half
don't need to
star.
see this movie,
major
yeah.
thing that the movie lacks.
Lost
that
a
made
half
it.
star already for me. Me on the other, I'm also catching up. This is not for a movie that Carrie and I saw in since the last episode, but it's one that we held back on our trip to Mexico. As a Patreon subscriber had this for us. We've been meaning to talk about, and I don't have the name, but I believe it's Julian DeBerry. Yeah,
It was. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't have it written down, but I was pretty sure it was Julian DeBerry. He had recommended to us "In the Mood for Love" a while back in July, and we were just now finally catching up with it. It was his second pick. We kind of gave him like a freebie to some of our early Patreon subscribers. So catching up with In the Mood for Love, made in 2000, hour 38 minutes, IMDb 8.1, Rotten Tomatoes 89%. It is the number 240 IMDb movie of all time, which
It's a Criterion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Criterion
Collection
Criterion
film.
collection.
240 is several numbers too low.
It is too low, but not from my perspective maybe, but for an IMDb'er, I feel like that's really high for IMDb.
I feel like IMDb has weird ass tastes, and it's best not to interrogate them.
So when this was assigned to us, very promising synopsis. Two
Very
neighbors,
promising synopsis.
It is.
a woman and man, form a strong bond after both suspect extramarital activities from their respective spouses. But they kind of, I'm going to say it's like When Harry Met Sally, they kind of let's just be friends though.
Right.
Like, let's not cross any
Let's not
lines.
push
We're
this.
not as bad as our spouses. It's
I
not.
think if you feel compelled to use the sentence, it's like When Harry Met Sally to describe In the Mood for Love,
You're in trouble.
you are setting up some listener for an inordinate amount of disappointment.
It is, yeah. It is not When Harry Met Sally at all. This is an art house movie.
It is an art house movie. Wong
Absolutely.
Kar-wai directed. Amazing film. I will let you two talk about it because it was your.
It is slow. It is tense, and you just keep waiting for something to happen. And the parts where I'm waiting and I'm waiting for something to happen are amazing. And
Waiting for love?
I'm waiting for just something to be uncovered or to know more or to how is this all going to wrap up. And how it wraps up was the biggest disappointment for me. Is I don't feel complete in the wrap up,
but
and I
that's
feel like
supposed to.
I
That's
feel like
the
that's
whole
the point.
point.
And those are the movies for me that just don't do it for me. I think it's a beautiful movie.
It is.
Up to the point where I don't know what
It
happens. and then
remains beautiful.
after that.
So I'll tell you the things that I liked about it first. So the things that I really liked about it were her dress. So it's set in
Oh my God, the costumes.
Yeah, 1950s Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. So she's the two characters. You don't actually ever get to really see the Chidi spouses, but you only get to see the main two characters who are sort of building their friendship. Both of them are super cute and pretty,
Oh, God, so
respectively. He's really charmingly cute, and she's gorgeous, and she wears these.
Yeah, I mean, these are Maggie
beautiful-
Chung and Tony Leung. So
Yes.
these are gorgeous fucking
gorgeous
human beings.
people. And so they're both dressed so neatly, and she is so put together. And then the music in it was something I also
the
really
music was
enjoyed.
good.
The music was really good, and the music was what kept you on edge throughout the entire thing. So I liked it from that standpoint of it. I actually gave it 2 goes. I watched it the first time, and then I was
And
like,
you loved it so much.
loved
You're
it.
like, I have to watch it right away again.
Watched it again.
I totally understand that.
it was overwhelming because it's subtitled. I don't know if you already said that, Rob.
No,
It's a
I didn't say
subtitled
that.
movie. And so for this one in particular, because I think there's so much visual stimuli going on,
So much.
I actually in the first pass had difficulty reading and watching because I was so
That's when you just give up on the subtitles. You let
just
the
learn
imagery
and you learn Cantonese.
You learn
Right.
Cantonese. But that's the thing. It's a Chris
about
Doyle, Wong Kar-wai film. You just let the visuals just wash over you. You don't need to fuck the story. Who cares about the story?
Who cares?
You care
You don't
about
need
the
to
dresses.
know, and the dresses.
You care about the rain.
And like
I
Rob
was just
said,
say the rain.
The rain was
Yeah,
good.
the rain was good. Yeah.
Such good rain in that movie.
Yeah, I was in the same boat as Rob though, where I needed closure. There, you don't get closure, and it
so
was.
if I were to ask, do you two agree with me that this is the best motion picture produced in the world in the 21st century? Your answer would be maybe.
Sure. We'll go with maybe.
It is. I do think it's the
But
best. movie
thank
of
you for the
21st century.
recommendation.
No,
Again,
yeah.
it continues to be things that we would have never otherwise picked up ourselves. And I'm glad that I saw it.
It's worth the
good.
spoiler. I have so
Yeah.
many questions about it that we'll need to talk. I think we've mentioned that we wanted to talk offline. We'll have to set aside some time, or maybe we can get Julian on for a special episode or something.
yeah,
that.
I
We
would
can
like to know his
talk
thoughts
with him
on it, too, on why he
explaining
recommended it.
explaining the ending to me a little
Yeah.
bit. I need some explanation.
What's to explain? It's about knowing that you have regrets. It's about the road not traveled.
I don't understand regrets.
You've never had any of those.
Don't
so
have any
far.
of those.
Rob's never had one. But I appreciate seeing it. So
Well, remember, you can find more details about all the movies we've watched at our website, alternateending.com. That's alternateending.com. Before we head to our break, you might be wondering about ways to support the show. If you want access to exclusive content, make us watch a movie, pick your own episode topic, you can do it all from our Patreon page, much like Alex Frith, who is celebrating his 1-year anniversary as a Patreon with us. Thanks, Alex, for all your patronage thus far.
Or Patreonage.
Patronage. I get that
Patronage,
wrong
yeah.
every time.
every time.
No, actually, I think I just was a dick. I think you got it perfectly fine.
Also, I want to thank all of our listeners who support the show and make their Amazon purchases through our site. Doing it is easy. Just go to our website, alternateending.com, click on our Amazon banner, and seamlessly go about your purchases. All proceeds go to making our show better. Since our last episode, here are some things that were purchased. I'm going to see. I saw a pattern in our
Okay.
purchases. Let's see if you can pick up what these people, or maybe it's just a
Floral.
coincidence. I was going to actually list them.
Okay.
And then see if there was a theme.
Okay.
But I
You
like
set a
what
pattern?
you're doing.
They are installing a new guest bedroom.
Let's see.
No. So some books purchased. Yellowstone Treasures, The Traveler's Companion to the National Park.
They're going to California on a vacation.
Let's see. Book number 2, Hiking the
You're
Grand
good.
Tetons. Also could just be playing along with our top 5 sex scenes.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, did you say Yellowstone or Yosemite?
First was Yellowstone, now the Tetons.
Okay, I was wrong. I heard Yosemite. You said Yellowstone. So they're going to Wyoming.
I was going
I
to say.
actually don't know anything about national parks.
It was one of
Well,
those things that I was going to actually call you out on, but then I was like,
should've.
I'm never
'Cause
right
I
when
heard,
it comes to
I
you.
heard why, and my brain shut down. No, Yellowstone
Yeah.
and the Grand Tetons are both in northwest Wyoming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to Wyoming.
Now we
And
have
the Grand Tetons, by the way, does mean the Big Tit Mountains.
We also have a Ranger's Guide to Yellowstone Day Hikes. Interesting. Ranger's Guide. So it's kind of like the
Okay.
advanced. These
Yeah.
people are advanced.
Like
and
the,
then,
the hockey team.
yeah,
All right.
sure. I don't know what the joke is there.
Isn't there a hockey team called the Rangers?
Oh, the Ranger. I thought the advanced. I didn't. Yeah, I'm with you.
Texas Rangers.
That's right. Delete that one too.
Delete that. Deleted. And then a book. This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Loose Leaf for Human Anatomy. So now I'm picturing
Loose who?
Loose Leaf for Human Anatomy. So now I'm picturing someone's going like on some sort of mission to kill,
Okay.
like to hunt humans
It
while
could
on
be.
their hike.
I
And they
like
want
it.
a human anatomy book to figure out how to carve up people, maybe get some organs
Because
out.
I was
Sure.
thinking when you said it gets interesting, I was hoping it was going to be like how to bury your wife
There you go.
or something like that.
It could be that too.
And for that, you need some outdoor gear like a Gas One GS3000 portable gas stove with a carrying case.
You should bring
You'd want
those.
that.
Yeah.
Then you'd want a 5-pack of women's multi-purpose padded hiking crew socks. You don't want your feet to get wet.
You sure don't.
No.
Also,
That's how
5.
you get a swamp foot.
So you don't want swamp foot. 5-pack to go with it. Men's bio climbing dry cool cushion hiking performance crew. Coleman Cooler Quad portable camping chair. Sit back while your
I think
wife's.
these are all camping things. Did you purchase all these, Rob?
No.
I think these are your purchases.
You're the one who likes camping. Although I do want to get Gas One butane fuel canister 4-pack. I want to be cooking on a
Yeah.
proper
I like the campfire
gas stove.
cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-inflating sleeping pad 2 inches thick. Whoever's going camping.
Yeah.
We wish you well in your adventures.
Fun in Yellowstone.
In
I
your
know that. I wish
Tetons.
I was there with you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for all your purchases. When we get back, our top 5 sex scenes. And welcome back to Alternating. We're talking about our top 5 sex scenes. And I know, Carrie, you've been hanging on the edge of your seat waiting for this episode. Very excited about it.
Yeah.
What makes a top 5 sex scene for you?
Okay.
What makes it a sex scene, and what makes it a top 5 sex scene?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's differences in those things.
Some sex scenes are only like your number 9 sex
Yeah.
scene.
Sure. I actually only had 5. So there were no more than that. But So you want my criteria?
I want to know what makes it like. What is sex?
Is this going to be like when I had to define snowballing for you two all over again? Because that was weird.
It's still unclear for me. It's still a little bit unclear.
Sometimes when a mommy and a daddy love each other very much,
the stork then comes and
puts his wee-wee in mommy's ho-ho.
So you are leading into my criteria on words that we can and can't use during this episode because they're extra weird. So we'll get there.
What, I want to know.
Tell me which words can we not use?
So I've got a couple that are just like no zone.
Are these like? Are you going to do like
one of those?
Are you going to do a George Carlin bit here?
What's his bit?
Please tell me the words you don't want me to say.
So I've got a couple that are just like really bad. So you can't use like the ML word. That's like one that just like makes me want to just.
Mufflicker?
No,
that one has been added to the list.
I've added it to that one's fine. Actually, that is better for me. So I'm better with like goofy
I really don't know what
terms.
I don't know what the
ML word is.
So here's the thing. I'm really morally opposed to really technical terms. Like medical terms are a no-go for me.
So Mad Libya.
Speculum.
Yeah, like I can't have a speculum.
Mad labias.
Also off
What's
the list.
ML? I don't know what ML is.
Make love.
Oh.
That,
you can't say make love?
No. Oh, it's just the
You're just like our 6-year-old daughter.
It's so
What about
bad.
What about tongue kissing? Can we say that?
I'm okay with that. Maybe that's
What about
like an
holding hands?
Holding hands, I'm fine.
All right.
So really technical terms or the
Making
ML.
love is like the opposite of a technical term. It's like a euphemism.
I know, but it's just so gross. And then, but what you can use are words like you just said. Like I'm really good with like goofy terms for things. If you want to call things it, I'm okay with that. It or like.
So what makes it a do it for you? Okay. And then now I want to know, and then I want to know what makes it a top 5. Like, how do you get ranked above the other do-its? What makes it a do it?
Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Oh yeah, sure. You seem much more comfortable.
I am much more comfortable. Okay, so here's my criteria. Had to be sort of like there had to be like two people that interacted and like
Carrie's right now doing one of these with her hands. She's
so wait,
doing
no.
like
I'm ready though for
she's
this.
feeling the cantaloupe.
So there had to be like an intersection point between two people. So meaning no fruits.
So like they are selling each other insurance.
That could be part of it. That could be like a prelude.
Which is perfect on Groundhog's Day, by the way.
So no baked goods, no fruits. Has to be two people intersecting. It also, this is a big one, and this is where I think I'm going to catch you guys up a little bit. You had to go to base 4, not 2 or 3, so Black Swan is out, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay. So you're saying that lesbians by definition cannot have sex.
No.
That's what I heard.
Set. I'm good.
So I like when you put it that way, it makes me feel like that's not probably factual. I'm not really schooled in that category, but so
Well, you will be if you watch my top 5 sex.
well, Black Swan. If I was picking base 2 or 3, would have been on my list. But for me, you had to go all the way around
the bases.
You had to round them, and then here's the other really important thing. You had to have physical confirmation that said action happened. It couldn't be like, oh, we're sort of meandering around each other and there's some kissing and there's some things going on.
So what you're telling me, you need some sort of money shot?
I need a money shot.
Oh.
It can't what?
I don't think you know what I'm talking about, but that's good.
So
that's good.
it can't like do like a touching rub thing. Is my grandma on? You can't do a touching rubbing thing.
You need to see the woman spitting out the cum at the end. We get it. We're set.
Well, no, because that would be base 3.
Swallowing doesn't count because we can't
that's
see
base
it.
3. You got to round it. But then you have to bring it back, Rob.
Rob has died.
No, but what I'm saying is
dead.
what happens sometimes in a lot of movies is there's some things happening and then all of a sudden it like clips to nudity at the end and they're just laying there.
Right.
That doesn't count.
Okay. All right.
So like
very clear.
I wanted to put the Blue Lagoon on here.
Sure.
I rewatched that clip. It's unspecified on really what happened there. Yep. You don't know. So that is that's my criteria.
Okay, Tim, do you?
I do actually share Carrie's last criterion. It has to be a scene in which the camera is present in the room while the physical act of love is being consummated.
Okay,
that's pretty good too.
Thank you.
I'm not totally creeped out by that.
No, because like to me, some of the like all-time best like sex scenes, like sexy scenes, are from the very innuendo and implication-heavy 30s and 40s, where they couldn't, like, they straight up could not depict sex. So they had to come up with really artful ways of doing it. So for me, like, one of the sexiest scenes imaginable is in the movie Gilda, where Rita Hayworth removes a glove.
Is that what they call it?
And that's what they call it.
Okay.
In the 40s. So, like, that doesn't count. Like, there has to be... We need to know that they actually, like, did the deed. It can't just be, like, fade to black, fade back up the next morning. Yes. They're having bagels. Like, no, we need to be in the room. We need to hear the moaning and the slapping and the squishing and whatever else we hear. Whether we see it or not. We just need to know that it
I don't
happened.
need any sounds, really, but I need to see it.
I feel like I'm safe on Tim's definition. Carrie's definition is a little strong for me.
And I do, because I'm not a homophobe, I do believe that non-penis and vagina sex still
That
counts
is
as
not
sex.
factual.
No, I think it is factual.
That's not what I meant.
I think our gay and lesbian friends should have all the same recognition.
I could have included Call Me By Your Name in this. That would have been fine. Brokeback Mountain, totally fine. If I've seen that movie, I would have put that. I just don't know how it works with the
Well,
other
actually, I think
things.
Call Me By Your Name would not meet your second criterion.
I know it doesn't. That's why I didn't put it on here.
The sex is all like dissolved.
Dissolves and you don't see. I would have included. That's what I'm saying. I would have included it because it was good, but it didn't meet my criteria.
I will say that I've never had as good of sex as Timothée Chalamet has with the peach.
I don't think probably anybody has, but again, it didn't meet my fruit criteria. Yeah. So what's yours, Rob?
Mine was a little different. I rather than just scaling on trying to figure out like how do I rank these, I went on different types of sex.
Okay.
Like I wanted different types of sex scenes represented.
You would do that,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted something raw.
Right.
Like I wanted some raw, like
Raw dogging. I know how you rock, Rob.
No, but I wanted somewhere you're feeling so in the throes of passion, you just can't wait.
Just can't
just
even.
tear off each other's clothes and you just go for it.
Right.
Then I wanted one that represented just pure sexuality and basically almost pornographic, but
all right.
made for
Okay.
but that could still be shown. That was shown in theaters.
Okay.
Okay.
More extreme, sure.
Then I wanted just I wanted a couple movies to represent just pure love making.
So people who make love.
Off the table.
People who make
Off the
love.
table.
People who make love.
So
Come up with a different word.
I picked all of my favorites from those various different types of categories. So hopefully you'll see those represented here. So you'll see the best of what I think for those particular categories represented. Sure. So let's go, Care, with your number 5.
Okay.
And we haven't actually talked what makes a top sex scene. So preface, if you could, with.
Most of mine are on top, I think.
All right.
So yeah, this one starting with my first one. So I will go with. I think actually I just went. I don't know, more intensity. I don't know how I ordered mine. Movies I liked on top of better scene.
I just want,
So
it had to give me the feels, right? Like it had to give you the feels.
yeah,
Is that weird to say? I mean, we could talk openly about it. Like it had to make you feel something.
heart had to
It
flutter a
had
little
to make
bit.
something go a little bit
Right.
tingly.
If things aren't happening
Your
when I'm
pants
watching
had to tighten up a little bit.
a little bit.
A little bit.
So my pants didn't tighten up my first
they
one,
wouldn't.
but
I think we need to have a quick talk about biology with Carrie. Sometimes when a man gets very, very excited to see a pretty lady
so
or a pretty boy, I'm not gonna.
you never
I'm not gonna
know.
judge because
Yeah.
I'm not Carrie.
I'm uneducated in this category. Okay, so I'm going to go with number 5, which is a movie that I think maybe neither of you guys have seen, but this one is from 2002, and it takes place in a little bit of a, unconventional place, like a pool. The movie Swim Fan.
I have not seen Swim Fan.
Have you seen Swim Fan?
No.
You haven't?
Oh no, I have seen Swim Fan.
you
I know
have.
the scene, but this is not. This would not make my list.
So it's unconventional. Actually, unconventional helps you on the list a little bit too. Like it's not just your everyday run-in-the-mill like bed situation. That'll actually help you a lot. I realize that. Actually, none of mine take place in a bed.
So odd places.
Much better.
Okay.
I don't really like traditional places. So there's this guy who's this promising high school swimmer who goes out, and I don't actually remember anything about the movie, but what I do remember about this movie is there's a pool scene.
Is there a swimmer in it and someone who's a fan of them?
Right. That is exactly the case.
Excellent.
And then she like comes over and she ends up being kind of a creepy stalker girl. And I remember this was like one of those, again, teen under the covers, like watching it. It was like on TV and you're in the basement, and it was really steamy because she swims over and she's like, oh, hey, do you want to just like run laps with me? And then they go, and then the swirl in the pool, everything just sort of materializes quickly and elevates quickly. He has another girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah. And I know. And then she's like, hey, it gets a little creepy. She's like, tell me that you love me. And she's like, even if you don't mean it. And he does. And
He does mean it, or he does tell her?
no, he doesn't mean it, but he tells her like a jerk. But she's creepy anyway. Not a good movie by any stretch, but the scene was really intense, and the scene was a good one, unconventional, and I actually still don't know how that goes down in a pool, to be really honest with you.
Well,
but it did in this movie.
I gave serious thought to putting Showgirls on my list, where apparently it happens when the girl like squats on the man's sternum and just keeps like throbbing against his sternum, according to the movie Showgirls.
Okay. I haven't seen that one. Is it a good one?
Oh, it's a good one.
I'm just gonna jump right in then to my number 4 because it's
Wait, did I take Swim Girls?
No,
on
it's
yours?
Showgirls.
Oh,
but we're
fan.
talking. Can I just jump right into Showgirls? I
You have it on there?
Showgirls, I have.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
If
this is
we're-
going to put a kink in the way the thing goes out, but sure, number 4,
No,
Showgirls.
I like putting a kink in it, and I'm unconventional too. I like it. I like
You like
watching
it in the
movies
pool?
when a girl's on top. That's how crazy I.
Whoa! I feel like I'm going to describe my number 5, and
No,
you're both just going to
Showgirls.
like literally faint.
If we're talking pool, all I could think about is Carrie. You're picking swim fan.
I've never seen Showgirls. So.
Showgirls takes the pool.
There is
scene-
a pool scene and a half in
Yes.
Showgirls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like literally?
She is riding a rodeo bull.
Okay.
In the pool.
Clearly
Yeah.
a foot above
Don't use
his
metaphors
dick.
here because I don't know what
She
you're
is
talking about.
No, she's like latched onto him. She is literally humping like his.
Do you
his
see
wishbone.
any sort of
There is way too much water
members?
splashing up. To see
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's this
Although
movie.
apparently Kyle MacLachlan did at the time have a very authentic erection that Paul Verhoeven, to his great disappointment, was required to digitally remove for the film to get released.
Wait.
And
so
yet
how
still
does that work? So it was a
NC-17.
real life one?
A real life boner.
I mean, I assume that Kyle
Yeah.
MacLachlan does not walk around with a rubber boner. That he
Yeah, but
just,
how does that work? How awkward is that?
I no more awkward than the rest of the set of Showgirls, I have to assume.
You know, and I don't know how this works, Tim. You know the movie magic. Is there some tape downs that happen for these types of things
the
normally?
thing is, so it's easy to think of like, oh yeah, you've got Elizabeth Berkley like rubbing all against you. When you're in a movie, you're surrounded by like 40 people. There's lights. There's somebody yelling at you what to do. You know, people are like eating bagels and arguing with each other. It's not a sexy environment.
I just got hot. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, like,
Tell
for
me
me,
more about
the
the
question has
bagels.
never been, how can the actors not get hard-ons? It's like, how in a porno can they? Like, they're surrounded by, like, yawning grips and shit. Like, how can that possibly be erotic?
No, but this one, especially, let's see, I was 13.
Oh, my.
Just at the right time?
Yeah, this was but no, seeing what
Did
she
you
does
watch it with your parents?
acrobatically. No, I did not watch this with my parents.
Your parents are into that kind of
I
stuff.
watched it with your parents.
This often gets cited as one of the worst movies of all time. I don't think it's
Unfairly. It's
I
a
don't
good
think
movie.
I don't think it's as bad as that. 4.7 IMDb, 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Tim mentioned Paul Verhoeven. Yeah, it's Elizabeth Berkley and Kyle MacLachlan in the pool. She's riding him like a rodeo star.
Yeah.
The bull's trying to knock her off, basically, and yeah,
It's-
it's an intense scene. This one
Okay.
was when I was talking about the pornographic scene. Like this one kind of topped the list.
Yeah, you
it's
see
one of the
things.
first ones that popped in my mind when we were doing top 5 sex scenes.
Okay.
It popped in my mind immediately as well. I ended up not including it just because I decided I want my top 5 list to be made out entirely of sincere sex
Okay,
scenes. Like
yep.
not
yep.
kitschy
No, that's
fancy
fair
sex
enough.
scenes.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Did we ask your criteria?
No, I'm about
So
to give them.
let's- yeah.
So here's the thing for me. As I mentioned, for me, like a real good sex scene is one where it's like all done through like innuendo and the code is in play, so you can't even say the word like, you know,
Yeah, ML.
like you can't even say ML.
Yeah.
And you know, stuff like Gilda, stuff like anything with Marlene Dietrich. So for me, how arousing is it is already kind of a non-criterion, basically. So what I looked for instead was, I'm sort of on board with it has to be doing something different. Like there has to be something edgy in some capacity about it. Maybe not edgy is the word, but you know, something.
Side of the bed.
I would say only if they're using glue would be one of my. No, like it has to be doing something different. It's not just like two people like lie down on a bed and have sex and that's it. But what I was really looking for is something that the sex is an important part of the story. It's not just there because like, hey, we can put people boning in a movie. Like it needs to really be consequential to the plot and consequential to the characters. There has to be some level of like, no, the movie has been enriched by this, and not just like for prurient reasons. So my number 5 is the end of a very cool video that I just watched called Tiny Teen Takes Big Black Cock in Her Pussy and Jizz on Face. And what happens...
I don't think I've seen this one.
No, so my number 5, ironically, we were talking about, so Carrie needs to see what in order for her to know what sex had. My number 5 is one I picked because there's cum, basically. It's from the 2011 movie Weekend, directed and written by Andrew Hay, who is a gay filmmaker. The film is about two men, played by Tom Cullen and Chris New, who meet at a bar, hook up, and over the course of the weekend realize, actually, this is like really cool. I really like your company. But they knew going into it that this was not going to last. Like this was a 72-hour thing. So it's kind of sweet, kind of sad, and full of like just very frank sex is had. And the sex itself is just kind of there, which is the interesting thing about it. Like, it's not done as like...
It's not a thing.
It's not done as porn. It's not done as like, oh my God, you see penises. It's just like, men in bed. Oh, you see penises. Men in bed just like doing what gay men who've just hooked up but are kind of also falling in love with each other will do. And the scene that I specifically love in this movie is one where you see like cum on one of the men's stomachs and he has to like clean it up. And I love about it that it's just like, sex is a physical thing. It involves liquids. It involves like, you have to clean up afterward. In movies, I think we tend to think of sex scenes as like this very, pardon the word, climactic like thing that's like wind blowing and storms and all that. And no, in life, it's like a sweaty, messy thing. And I love that this movie just really simply was like, yep, sometimes you got to wipe up the cum. That just happens. And it's also just a great movie. It's one of those movies that tends to get called like, oh no, it's for everybody, whether you're gay or straight. And it is, of course, very gay, but also it is totally just a really good love story and sort of set off the trend that is still with us of gay and lesbian love stories in the 2010s being way better than straight love stories. So
Weekend.
Okay.
How do you spell week?
WEEK.
Okay.
As in the thing that has 7 days in it.
Okay. I thought maybe it was different.
It is not.
So I should see that too. Is it, so I loved Call Me By Your Name. Obviously our last episode we talked about that was my number 1 movie of the year. Is it in that vein of like, it's passionate and you're really like caught up in their love story kind of?
It is.
Movie?
It's a different kind of thing because it's clearly not like a romance for the ages. Like they're really into each other, but they knew it. It's like gay sex filled Before Sunrise.
Oh, okay.
So it's totally like they know.
That's the first one, right?
They know from the minute that it starts that there is a clear end point.
Yeah.
They know this. And it's sort of them dealing with it. They literally just walked into it thinking like, okay, great, I get some sex. And then it turns into something emotional.
Okay,
it's really
care
wonderful.
about you.
It's really lovely.
Okay.
Well, I did my number 4 with Showgirls, Kara. So number 4 to you. And I'll wrap back around with my number 5.
Okay.
Is that or
that makes sense.
Okay.
That'll unwind us.
Before I go on to my number 4, say the name of that one more time for me.
Weekend.
Okay, I really want to see that now.
It is also a Criterion Collection film.
Alrighty, so I'm moving on to my number 4. Another one I think Tim might have missed because it's a classic is the 2010 Love and Other Drugs.
I missed it.
Oh, there's a lot of sex in that.
So much.
There's a lot.
So much.
2 beautiful people.
Really beautiful people played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Now, is it okay for you that the title of the film is Love and Other Drugs?
Love and Other Drugs. Yep, fine with the word love.
Love, as long as making love and other drugs would be a problem.
Don't combine the words.
But fucking and drugs would be the best title of all.
It's in the middle.
All right.
After ML, but just the love. Yeah, this works for me. This works for me. Rob and I saw this. Did we see this together or was that a different person? Okay.
That's good to know, Care.
What's that? Oh, 2010. It was you. So, I think it was you. So this one, so it's Jake Gyllenhaal, Anne Hathaway. Rob loves Anne Hathaway because she's just so funny and sweet. Judy Greer's in this. Oliver Platt is in it, and Hank Azaria.
How much do you see of Oliver Platt? Does he go all the way?
I don't think you do see Oliver Platt go all the way.
Fuck, no sale.
I know. not gonna, you're going to skip this one. Hank Azaria plays the doctor. Does he have a sibling? Hank Azaria?
Maybe.
I thought there was
not one
another
who's a
actor named
professional
like
actor.
Frank Azaria or something. No, there's not. Just Hank.
Let's
Okay.
Google Frank Azaria
Look
and
him
find
up.
out.
It's not Frank, but there's somebody else named Azaria. So there's this young woman named Maggie who's played by Anne Hathaway. And she's just really in top form for this movie. So she comes in, she's this free spirit. She never wants to be tied down by any commitment. And then she comes in and she actually suffers from Parkinson's. I don't know if you remember this from the movie, but she has early onset Parkinson's. She's really young. And so it adds to her distaste for these long-term relationships because she's like, hey, I have a thing I'm dealing with, so I'd rather just have these like flings all over the place. And I'd rather just fling myself everywhere. And so she does that. And then she goes into a doctor's office. Here's the scene. She goes into the doctor's office and then she's like, oh, hey, Dr. Azaria, I have this weird thing on my boob. I'm actually okay with the word boob because it's non-technical. So she pulls it
So
out.
if she were to say, I have this thing in my mammary glands, that would make you feel uncomfortable.
More uncomfortable than the word boob.
To be fair, I think anyone saying mammary gland in that scenario would be probably a sociopath.
Right. See? So I feel better about myself. So she pulls out her boob, which happens to be a particularly nice one. And so I remember Rob noting, he was just like, like, you're not expecting
That wasn't
to...
the first time I've noted.
You've never noticed.
Anne Hathaway.
She's
I thought that
done
was her first
some
boob.
topless scenes
Yeah,
along the way.
Oh, see, I thought this was her first boob.
No.
Oh no, she made a thing of it.
Okay. Well, so it was a good boob.
It was noted that between her and someone else, I forget who, was it Michelle Williams? Anyway, you see more boobs in Brokeback Mountain than you do male butts.
Interesting.
Yes. And you see no penises.
You don't see any in that? I've always wondered. I haven't seen the
no
movie.
penises.
Rob's very upset about that. So back to this movie. So she pulls it out and she's like, oh, I have this little spider bite thing situation going on. Jake Gyllenhaal's a medical sales rep for medicine, Viagra, like he's selling Viagra or something like that. And so he comes in and he sees her pull the boob out. It's like an immediate attraction. And the two of them come back to her apartment. It clips to like, and scene. And they come back and it's the most like, it's like an undie pull, grab, shirt, rip, there's like clothes.
Leg over the shoulder.
Leg over the shoulder, ripping things. And then it like clips and
Like
then...
Anne Hathaway's leg over her own shoulder?
Yeah, like she's
That
really
seems
pliable.
painful.
Yeah. And so she like does all this stuff and it's this crazy scene and it's so tense and so good. And then it clips to, there's a lot of Jake Gyllenhaal. There's a lot of butt in this too. There's a lot of nudity. And so they did all these interviews about how like they're full on nude in their scenes that they have throughout the movie and how uncomfortable that was. And they were like, well, like it was fine, but they're just naked for this entire movie. So anyway, the entire rest of the movie plays out with all these other really like, they're really good together. They have a really good chemistry.
They do have good chemistry. I'm curious now. This brings up a good question because I it seemed like the way you were describing it is that you were more attracted to Anne Hathaway than Jake Gyllenhaal.
Sure.
I'm curious, like from an arousal perspective, is it more important for you to be attracted to the person of the same sex or the person of the opposite sex? Like, how much more does it? You know
That's
what I mean?
a good
Like
question. Yeah.
For you, I'm curious.
Oh, just personally?
Just Well, we can go around. I'm curious, like how much that plays in. Or like if it's an ugly dude for me hooking up with what I think is an attractive.
Well, then it becomes aspirational.
Yeah, like does that give me
It's
some
like,
hope?
well,
Like,
if
look,
this guy,
that-
I mean, that is literally like people say that's the reason Ron Jeremy's had a career.
Oh, okay.
It's because people are like, oh, well, if that man can have sex with all these women, I can surely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the way you described it, it made it seem like Anne Hathaway being beautiful added something for you.
It probably,
versus,
yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's the
mutual.
same for me.
I think it's
Like,
the same. What's the one that you always say? Julianne Moore. See, Julianne Moore doesn't do it for me. So a scene where
Shame.
Really?
For shame.
Oh, I think you're the only one.
I think that is verifiably untrue.
I don't know. Rob and I aren't into her. And she's a really big full frontal exposure person in movies, and so that would ruin it for me. So I think Anne Hathaway did play a big role in the fact that this was good. And here's my other thing, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but seeing like a male back is like, ooh, yeah. Seeing a male front, you're like, I want to just know it's there, but I don't actually think I want to see that.
It's utility.
This is
utility.
a like long-standing debate in the arts, and like people have discussed this. The naked female body is entirely made up of very naturally occurring curves, and it looks like it's designed to be beautiful. The naked male backside, same. Penises are ugly. Penises are like a violation of the like smoothness of the human form. So yes, I concur.
Yeah.
Dong,
so yeah,
dongs are just no good.
I'm a no dong person.
We know that's not true.
You don't see that in this movie, and you see all the right parts of everybody in this movie, which makes it my number 4.
Your grandma has not joined Facebook
Thank
Live
you
here, but
for
a
confirming
good chunk
that.
of your family has. Just to
But
let
not
you
my
know.
mom, right?
No, she's upstairs watching the kids.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Okay.
that's right. So I can talk to your mom after we're done recording this episode.
Okay.
hurry
So
this
let's move to number 3 for you.
My
4 for you.
My number
4
4.
for you. 4 for you.
So I think, Carrie, there's a very good chance I'm going to be stealing one from your list.
Really?
I think. We'll see.
Okay.
So this is, for me, the least explicit scene on my list.
Okay.
This is a PG-13 film.
Okay. Give me more clues.
This is a film in which sex is had in a car.
On my list.
No.
A very sweaty, very
Oh.
steamy car.
No.
Where Kate Winslet and Leo DiCaprio are in the basement of the Titanic, and they're in a car, and they're playing around, and it's like, oh, I'm going to be the chauffeur, and I'm going to be the fancy lady. And then they just start going at it. And then, like, it dissolves to a little bit later, and the windows of the car are just, like, opaque, white. And then you just see, like, hand. And it's like, oh, yeah, Leo just came. Just right there. And it's like, this is to me the actual, because innuendo, this is to me the hottest of the 5 on my list. Because it's like, what's going on in that car? Those windows are, like, white with steam.
That's true.
And
That's
it's
true.
like, it's
good.
the last great example, because you can show anything now. We live in a, whatever. You can say, like, titty fuck in a sitcom these days. I don't think you actually can. But so this is the last, like, classical
podcast,
Hollywood.
though, apparently.
Like,
And Facebook Live, yeah.
And you totally can. I've said worse than titty fuck today. I said muff licking. Actually, I'm not sure which of those is worse. But
They're
anyway,
both bad.
this is to me like the last great example of, like, I mean, it's not innuendo. Like, they're clearly having sex in this car, but it's like all done by, like, visuals, and, like, you get how intense it is, not because you hear things or you see things, but just because of that hand.
It is my number 1, Tim.
Oh,
I can't
I
help
am
it. I'm
sorry.
very surprised that it. No, I thank you. I'm flattered that it makes your list.
I find it it's a very horny some scene.
Someone with your pedigree still will give Titanic a little bit of a thumbs up.
And got to do some honorable mention to the paint me like draw me like your French ladies scene.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
It's only a dime, too.
It's not sex.
A dime for that. How
Totally
cheap.
worth it.
How cost effective.
Kate Winslet recently did an interview too, where I guess the way they got everything all steamy and had them. I mean, they were looking sweaty too, so they spritzed them down with, like, Evian water. I don't know why.
Oh, it was natural.
Why
It was
Evian?
natural.
Because it was
necessary.
a Jim Cameron shoot. He wasn't going to give him no fucking Kirkland signature water.
Dasani.
For my number 1, I'm winner of 11 Oscars, obviously. Catherine Clark and John Zilla 2179 also had Titanic on their lists of top 5
I
sex
almost
scenes.
put it on there. I
surprised,
rewatched it.
Kara.
I'm really surprised at myself too. Here's why I didn't.
It's your favorite movie of all time.
I
I
know.
genuinely thought it was going to be your number 1.
I thought it would be too, but I have a better number 1 because this one, I rewatched the clip, and whilst I was weeping just from the clip, I was like crying when I was doing our episode prep. It didn't show enough for me. And I think that's why.
It shows the exact correct amount for me.
I felt like it was too PC,
Okay.
All right.
And so, but otherwise it would have. That's such a good scene.
Carrie's a little naughty. That's all right. I like to.
I just have standards I'm trying to stick
Okay.
to. So.
So I think we're backtracking to your 5 now. Is
Yeah,
that right?
backtracking to my number 5. I already have spilled on my.
You've shot your wad on number 4.
Number 4 and number 1.
How many of
as
my
well.
family members are on there again? You just tell me.
Like all of
Okay.
your aunts.
Okay, that's fine.
Every
That's
single one.
Hello,
They're all
Ants.
into it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Number 5 for me is one I talked about at the start of my list that I would be bringing you a couple different types of sex scenes. This one falls under the raw urge where you just can't wait to get to any place that makes a lot of sense to
Do
actually
you
have sex.
also have teeny teen getting jizzed on the face by black cock?
I do. Yeah, that's
Excellent.
I'm the second like
It's a
on
great
that
one,
post.
right?
Yeah. This one is a David Cronenberg flick.
You fucked up motherfucker. I don't even know which
is
one it
it?
is. It doesn't matter.
Talking about
You sick monkey.
2005's A History of Violence.
Oh, this was going to be on mine. I was on mine until like yesterday.
Number 1, we have Viggo Mortensen, who just happens to show his penis in almost every movie.
He likes
Sure.
to show his.
And then you have Maria Bello, who find themselves in a very confrontational. They're husband and wife, and they're arguing on a staircase. And then somehow that turns into a very raw and aggressive lovemaking scene where I'm
They
pretty
ain't
sure
making love.
That's not it's not lovemaking.
What is it?
No, it's just hardcore.
It's just like
hardcore
animal
sex.
fucking on
Yeah.
a staircase.
And when you watch it, you have to really wonder: are they actually having sex?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about bruised knees and
I'll tell you what,
yeah.
if I'm Viggo and you say have sex with Maria Bello, I say yes. And if I'm Maria Bello and you say have sex with Viggo Mortensen, I say yes.
So very
I don't know who Maria Bello is.
Coyote Ugly.
She is noted
lead bartender.
She had her own
Was
run of
she in
like
a-
being naked and stuff. a lot.
Was she the really pretty one with the long hair?
Okay, that would be everyone from Coyote Ugly, but
What
she was
about-
the main bartender.
Was she also in
or
Pirates of the
main-
Caribbean?
No.
No. She was in
Different one.
the third. No, yes, she was in the third Mummy movie.
Oh, actually, I do know who you're talking about, which is
Jesus.
really sad.
Was she also in The Cooler?
She was in the cooler, where that is also a sex scene, kind of, but it's more sad than good.
But if you haven't seen David Cronenberg, I think the reason why, Tim, you reacted
Because every other film he has sex, every other Cronenberg film with sex, it's like messed up sex.
Yeah, it's messed up. This one
This
is
one
messed
sounds really
up, but
clean.
it's very
It's-
aggressive.
It's only not messed up by the standards of a man who had like dead ringers and shivers in his career.
For those who haven't seen it, it's a mild-mannered man becomes a local hero through an act of violence, which sets off a bunch of repercussions for his family. In his old life, he had a past.
Yeah, we find out that he may or may not have himself been a killer, and this is kind of what triggers the sex scene. Like, there's this sense that she wants to have horny, hardcore sex with him because he is violent. Because what you failed to mention is this is the second sex scene in the movie.
That's right.
And what's really interesting about it, the first one is this very cutesy, corny bullshit where he dresses as the quarterback and she dresses as a cheerleader. And it's like sweet, like flirty married couple. But I think it exists solely so that when we see them just like going at it on the stairs, we have that sense of like, oh, something major has shifted in their relationship.
I think you have a really distorted view of sweet married couples. The sweet married couple
It's a
dressing
Cronenberg
out.
movie. It counts as sweet and cute.
I dress up in
It's a little
flannels.
bit, I would say.
I'm saying Rob would be the one.
Oh, sure. Well, that makes sense.
Much like in True Lies, how when Jamie Lee Curtis finds out that her husband is like a spy,
Yeah.
like she's a bored housewife. Maria Bello plays that kind of role,
Yeah.
and this is an exciting turn when she's angry at him for having this potential past, but then also very much excited.
It's
TO'd.
some real hate sex. No,
Say the name
this
again?
was on my list until very recently.
A History of Violence.
History of violence.
You need to see a lot. You need to see that and
Yeah.
a couple other Cronenbergs with Viggo Mortensen in it.
I would not necessarily
Carrie
push
would
too many
like it.
Cronenberg films on Carrie.
That's true. John Zilla 2179 also had that one
He did.
on his list.
He also, I think, had Jurassic Park. So
Okay.
I'm kidding,
Oh,
but he always
yeah.
has Jurassic Park for everything we have.
No, the scene where she gets all covered with the dinosaur poop.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
It's really steamy.
I think you're trying to make
It's
a Godzilla
steaming.
reference, but you're saying Jurassic Park.
No, it's just funny. I laugh at all the website viewers, like a lot of them that'll add them in. It's like these really guy movies that they pull out, and then it's like, but they can make it apply to every one of the topics, which I appreciate.
It's sort of like if you were to find some way to make, I don't know, like Indiana Jones 3 apply to every list we do.
That's factual. That's factual. So I'm going to go to my number 3, and my whole intention of this was I was going to play the clip of the music for this episode, but I have no technology in which to do that right now.
No, it's not like you don't have a computer right in
So
front
I
of you.
might be able to sing it to you.
Please.
Oh, please
I
do
won't.
that.
No, I actually won't do that, but
no backsies.
because I actually don't know how it goes. It's like, do. I can feel it, do in the air tonight. Hold on.
You'll Phil Collins.
What movie?
I forget.
The Hangover?
It's a movie.
It's a movie
The Hangover.
during the 80s.
Mike Tyson does the drum.
No,
beat.
because it was written, like, I think it was written for a movie.
Oh, okay.
I forget
This
what it was for,
movie.
though.
A risky movie.
Oh, Risky Business.
Risky
this
business.
the train scene?
The train
Or the subway scene,
The
or-
subway. They're
Nice.
on the red line.
I thought about this one.
Did you?
Oh, of course I did. Yeah.
So it's directed and
hot.
written by super hot Paul Brickman. Tom Cruise
I don't even know what
plays.
Paul Brickman looks like. I'll have to look up some pictures now.
He's old, but Tom Cruise is in this. Rebecca De Mornay. She's 58 now. He's 55. At the time, I thought she was a bunch older, but only 3 years older. She plays Lana.
To be fair, Tom Cruise has always looked like 40 years younger than he is.
It's true.
So at
It's
that
very
point, he
factual.
looked like he was negative 20.
Did you also guys know that Bronson Pinot is in this? Pico?
yeah.
Pinchot.
Pinchot
Yep.
is also in this
I
movie.
did not.
Do you know who that is?
Yes, I do.
That's perfect stranger.
Balky. That's Balky. I was like, how is he in this movie? But anyway, so
He's not actually from Eastern Europe.
Oh, unknown. See, this is an educational podcast for everybody out there. So there's this scene. All right. So Tom Cruise is like this snobby, rich, upper suburb Chicago person, and his
Probably
parent-
from Algonquin.
Probably Algonquin, Illinois. Yeah.
I think he's it's like specifically
It's
set
like
in Highland
Wilmette
Park,
or
I think.
something. Oh, is it? I don't know.
Definitely
One of
the North
those.
Shore.
Yeah, no, it's North
Definitely
There's
the North
only
Shore.
a few of those. So his parents go out of town. Of course, he takes their Porsche and drives it around, of course, and destroys it. So he's got to come up with a plan to like make money back before his parents find out that they've ruined the Porsche. So he calls on Lana, Rebecca de Mornay, who is a lady of the night, to help him out. Finds a financial opportunity, and it's the relationship between Tom Cruise and Rebecca de Mornay that ensues. So then here's end scene. They go on the Chicago Red Line, probably somewhere between Diversey and Halstead.
All right.
And they go out there, and she gets on, and she's like, I thought the L was going to be empty. And there's like a couple people.
Sounds like a suburbanite.
Yeah, and then kick in Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Turns on, things start to get steamy. Guy eating a sandwich. Yeah. And then there's another lady, nice lady sitting there. She's judging quietly. So then the lady finally...
She's not very nice.
She's not very nice. Then everybody starts riding. Then the one lady gets off, and then the guy with the sandwich is really drunk. And so finally, like, they get to a stop, and he, like, dumps the guy off of the train. You've seen this?
Not for a long time.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. And then things just happen on the train. And it's a very intense scene.
No, it's very intense. And it's funny, in college, I tried to sell risky business subway tours for ladies that I fancied, and it didn't work out
I
very well.
cannot begin to understand why.
Like, was
because
the
you
price
didn't know
too
Carrie.
high? Yeah. I would have taken you up.
Recreation scenes. I was just trying to get
Yeah.
people a love of the
Not
cinema.
even one person?
Not
took you up
one.
on
No,
that?
not one taker.
Maybe
on
free?
the risky business tour.
You never asked me.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel really, really sad.
Everybody who's seen this knows that this is a steamy scene.
I forgot about the Phil Collins alone.
He doesn't even have to do anything because he's on the train. So it's just all the turbulence is just really helping Tom Cruise out anyway. So
Yeah.
it's just efficient. Yes. So that was my number 3.
All right. So Titanic was it for me in having mainstream movies that either one of you will have ever heard of. So I feel very good about that. My number 3 brings us to the very sexy world of European art cinema in the 1970s, where all kinds of hardcore explicit sex was being had to dramatize the essential loneliness and psychological emptiness of the characters. Mm-hmm. So this is a movie I saw actually not that long ago for the first time. 1974's Je tu Hillel, a film by Belgian director Chantal Akerman. And this is a movie about a woman who feels that she can no longer form any sort of connection to people. And so the title in English would be Me, You, Him, Her, basically. So me is a woman who's just sort of moving through life very unhappily. Tu would be the recipient of letters she's writing. Him is a truck driver who's like a real skeezy asshole who our main character gives a hand job on a truck. And L, her, is the ex-girlfriend of this main character. So they get together. So I'm afraid this wouldn't count as a sex scene for you because it's 2 women and there's nothing to go inside anything else.
But you could do that.
Well, they don't.
Okay.
So this is very, very famous for this climactic sex scene. It is like 10 minutes long, shot in only 3 shots. And you're basically watching these 2 characters. Chantal Akerman herself plays the main character, and Claire Wathian plays her ex-girlfriend. And they just have this really detailed but increasingly mechanical and just not very interesting to look at sex. So kind of the opposite of everything else we've talked about on this list so far, but it is very much about the themes and characterizations of the film, because it is about alienation and anomie and isolation and all these wonderful things that 70s French language cinema was all about, done in this really aggressively minimalist, realist aesthetic that just makes it, I think, of all the depressing European sex scenes, and that's a genre unto itself, I think this is maybe the one that just feels the most in your face and the most impossible to escape from how something beautiful turns into something just kind of cold and lonely by the end of it. So really hot.
And that's what makes
them a top.
Whittles your way to the top.
Well, because I got to have my favorite of the depressing European sex scenes. There's just too many of them not to have one.
Couldn't be 5. It has to be higher up there. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
My number 3 takes place in Europe, and I'm noticing a pattern
Curious
now.
what this is.
Yeah, I'm going to take your number 1. I'm almost positive.
Oh.
Other than Showgirls, I will say the other pattern my picks have is I do like the the tension buildup of you wanting as an audience member these two people
Totally.
so badly for this thing to happen.
You want the moment.
You want the moment to happen. And I like it when a director kind of plays it out a little bit and kind of makes you want it even more to the
Right.
like makes you wait for it just a little bit too much. This one, the director didn't have to wait too long for that experience to happen.
This is my number one, you said?
2007's Atonement.
I wanted to put it on there, but
What
I
do you-
didn't.
The green dress?
The green dress. I know.
The green dress is
I
is
know.
good.
I have
Keira Knightley?
another
Sex
one in that category
is
that
not
I
the green dress.
rewatched
Sex
both
lasts
clips.
maybe 30 seconds?
But I went for the long game.
Okay.
With mine, and so mine was better for that reason.
Okay, so
Yeah.
30 second.
That seems like
30 seconds
that seems like your
is too
criteria.
short. Yeah, that's kind of
Sounds,
my
sounds
my
about,
ballpark.
about like what Rob would be.
That
up
feels
for,
right.
I think.
So tell us more about this 30-second
This
moment.
is, opposite sides of the tracks. Love story. Wealthy girl, Keira Knightley. Person working on her estate, James McAvoy. But they have this. You can tell in their eyes that this tension building over the course of what's probably been their childhood, and now as they're grown into young adults. They meet, I think, in a library.
Oh, yeah.
And they're walking
Oh, yeah.
across. He's suited up. He's been invited maybe to the house for a dinner
Yeah.
or something like that. I think he's been gone for a while. Maybe come back. I don't really know I forgot the backstory.
gives a shit?
Who cares? Have sex already. She's wearing this amazing green dress. I haven't seen the color, that shade of green.
It is one of the defining costumes of 20.
Okay, good.
2000s
I'm glad you feel
cinema.
that way because I talk about it with Carrie all the time.
Whenever we have like a holiday party, he's like, could you get something in green?
Wear the green dress.
Would you like a green dress like that just for yourself, Rob?
What? That would be nice.
That fabric is really clingy. I don't think that
yeah.
would work for me, but that dress was amazing.
They cannot wait to get with each other once they have a little moment of privacy up against the bookcase.
Oh, yeah.
And the ladder.
In the ladder.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't last long, but it is passionate and intense.
It's like quality over quantity, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is number 3 for me.
What
And that
makes it even hotter is that a 10-year-old is watching them.
Yeah.
I hated
Much like our
her.
poster,
I
Tim.
hated her
I know.
so much. I was so mad at her in
I
that
feel
movie.
like hating that character is...
Right.
It is a movie about whether or not that is the right thing to do.
But did you hate her?
No, I think she's wonderful.
Oh,
That's Saoirse
she
Ronan.
ruined everyone's
That's
lives,
Oscar
though.
nominee
It doesn't mean I
Saoirse
don't like her
Ronan.
as a person, but she ruined their lives. She was the worst. So I almost picked that, but I also picked that for my top 5 kisses. I actually realized I have a little bit of a thing because most of my top 5 kisses I really wanted to include on this list as well, which I don't know what that says about me, but I pulled it off this because that was on top 5 kisses. Sure. So that makes it to my number 2, and this was up in competition for Atonement, but this one was much more intense and lasted much longer than 30 seconds. This is the 2001 Enemy at the Gates.
Steamy.
Not even steamy. It's steamy.
Also short, if I'm not mistaken.
Not
you were
that
picking
short.
on. Oh, it's a short.
No, I timed it. It was at
Okay,
least
timed
1 minute and 14 seconds.
I think if you define that as being not short, I do in fact think you need to see a marital therapist.
So, but here's the thing. I'll tell you why that this wasn't short. Because here's the scene. Let me tell you, end scene. They go in and it's Jude Law plays the guy, and then Rachel Weisz plays the woman, and they come together, and they're both. This takes place during World War II, and the Germans and Russians are at war, and it's a sniper movie, and so these two snipers play this game of cat and mouse and the Battle of Stalingrad, and both Jude Law and Rachel Weisz are like, they are really into each other. They have the hots for each other. So then everybody, and seeing that when they come in, everybody's sleeping. People might even be dead. We don't even really know. There's like this little what do you call it? Like a galley of people, the rows of people. They're all
dorm?
a dorm of people on the ground that are sleeping. And she sneaks in, and it's super intense because everybody's kind of watching.
No, they're in a.
It's like a bunker.
They're in a subway.
trench?
In a subway.
A trench.
I haven't
or a
seen this
bunker.
movie.
Oh, so it's
You
when
haven't?
bombings would happen, the citizens would go down into the UK.
Okay,
underground.
so
Yeah.
they were in like a subway tunnel.
They were in a subway tunnel. Everybody's kind of hunkered down
so
for the
everybody's
night.
packed in like sardines, and she comes in, and they just really want to encounter each other, and so she walks in, and it starts to become this like grabby thing, but it's quiet. So like I listened back to it, and it's like it's the muted thing that makes it even better, where they're trying to be quick, obviously, because everybody's standing there and sleeping, and then they're trying to be quiet, and so it's super intense and tight quarters, tight spaces, and it's basically like they just pull a blanket over each other, but you know every little thing that's happening, and you can see it in her face, every little thing that's happening, and it is good.
I'm learning a lot from Carrie. You mentioned unconventional
apparently,
spaces.
1 minute and 14 seconds is all she needs. So
1 minute.
If you're in a crowd,
that's gotta
if you're
ease
in
your
a
mind.
crowd,
Right.
you have
Under
to
2 minutes,
know your
unconventional
audience,
spaces, and
All
we're
right.
set. Okay.
That's right.
I can make that happen.
You guys have a pretty decent sized pantry. That's all I'm saying.
I give a snack, too. It's good.
It's efficient. So what does that make it to your number
That puts it
two?
at my number 2, which is a movie that at least one commenter brought up, I noticed. 2001's Mexican Y Tu Mamá También,
Oh, yeah.
which is a amazing road trip movie directed by Alfonso Cuarón about a pair of like teenage-ish, like 17 or 18-year-old buddies. One who's like super poor, one who's super rich, played by Gael Garcia Bernal, and oh my God, I'm blanking on the other one's name. Very, very well, Diego Luna. So they're buddies. They like do what young bratty teen guys do, which is like talk about girls and talk about hitting on girls, and they have sex with their own girlfriends. Like there's one of the opening scenes is they're all having sex at the same time in the same room, but like not as an orgy. They masturbate together in one very like
These
shocking,
terms are getting too technical.
They beat their dongs.
I think I don't know if that's better words.
Give me your preferred euphemism for male
They
masturbation.
manage themselves.
They jerk it
Okay,
into a swimming pool, and you see like the cum like hit the swimming pool and that sort of thing. But none of this is what I'm talking about. So they discover this very hot older woman, Ana, played by Ana Lopez Mercado. Wait, I think I've screwed that up. I have screwed that up. Hang on, I'm looking at it. There it is, Maribel Verdú. Who the hell is her character name? Luisa. All right. So Maribel Verdú plays Luisa, very attractive older woman. So they find this older woman played by Maribel Verdú. They convince her to go on a road trip with them. Totally spuriously, they just like make shit up.
How much older is she?
Like 15 years, 10 years maybe. She's like,
Makes it edgy.
she's approaching she's like early 30s, I'd say. So the three of them go on a road trip. The boys spend the whole time trying to hit on the woman. She immediately understands what's going on and sort of like shoots them down. And eventually they all end up in a hotel room together towards the end of this long road trip. And I don't really want to say exactly what happens because it's like a spoiler alert, and this is a wonderful movie that everybody should see. There is a thing that is like a threesome, kind of.
It
but
feels like you just told us.
it's not though, because
Okay.
it's different than that. It's a sexualized event in which all of the tensions that have been building up between these three characters sort of erupt.
Culminates?
They culminate. They
Okay.
climax, if you will. It's not a threesome, but it is threesome-esque in a way that is very, very wonderful and true to the characters. It's very erotic, like there's no question about that, but also feels like it's just the perfect summation of this story about like horny teens who have really no idea what life is like. They just know that they're horny, and so they reach this point where they express that. It's a really good movie. It's one of the best movies of the current century, so everyone should see it. Not even for the sex scene, just for the movie.
Okay. Good.
All I'm left with is my number 2.
And I only have my number 1.
And it was mentioned earlier, kind of in passing, as a movie Carrie
Oh.
has not seen.
Oh.
Yeah. 2005's Brokeback Mountain.
Ah.
Going on with my pattern of movies where you just want them to just get it over with already.
Right.
So we have Jake Gyllenhaal and the
Heath Ledger.
and yeah, I get sad still thinking about Heath Ledger. And Heath Ledger working as cowboys, their forbidden secret love affair as two cowboys I think in the 70s, right? Maybe 60s
or 70s.
I think their love affair starts in the 60s and continues on into the 70s. But this is when they first meet. They get asked to go work a plot of land with I guess they're taking care of sheep or livestock.
I think it's sheep.
Yeah, then you have to kind of camp out and you have to make sure the wolves stay away. Like that's the whole reason why they're out there is they make sure the sheep kind of graze up in the mountains up on Brokeback Mountain, and they're tent camping and they're kind of goofing around. They have some fun, go in the river, splash each other. It's they're horsing around. One person is supposed to stay watch while the other person kind of stays in the tent.
Yeah,
and
one person watches the sheep. One person watches
Who's the initiator?
It's Heath Ledger who enters the
as it were
enters the tent,
enters the bum of the other man with his penis.
He enters it reluctantly, like he you can tell on his face. And I just watched the scene fresh again, and it's great. It's great acting on both sides.
Do you see anything?
Or do you
just know?
It's backsides and like top half.
I mean,
mostly.
Heath Ledger does not actually anally penetrate.
Not in real life.
No,
Yeah.
Okay. So it's poor acting. Okay.
Yeah, poor acting. But Heath Ledger is the one who's uncomfortable with the situation, even though he's the one who enters the tent and clearly wants something. Jake Gyllenhaal is more the aggressor. So
it's made clear that Jake Gyllenhaal has had many more male partners.
Okay.
Right.
But both of them are married, right?
Not at this point. Not at this point.
Okay.
Not at this point. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I know
you love this
movie.
I know you love it.
It's still one of my favorite love stories of all time.
There's an amazing little... Carrie's going to love this part. You're going to feel very excited to hear this.
I bet.
There's an amazing, very fine detail, which is that they are both so eager, but both sort of like confused. There's a point where Heath Ledger uses, like he spits in his hand to use his lube, which is horrible and you shouldn't do. But like it's a sort of like wonderful little moment where it like speaks to the naivete, but also urgency of the moment. And,
sure.
Yeah. So
what's your other option in that scenario?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know.
They have canned beans. Maybe they can just use like
I wonder if
the beans.
or the Amazon one day drop ship could have really saved them. I mean, it would be a little bit of time. There is also I've read, I think that they confirmed this in interviews as well, that that first makeout that they have, while the intensity of that I think Heath Ledger broke Jake Gyllenhaal's nose or
something.
Yeah, something. I mean, it's intense. I mean, it's a very passionate.
It is intense.
Yeah, very passionate scene. I highly recommend.
Still need to see it. We always talk about it.
Someone get on Patreon and
I will see it.
Make Carrie see this.
I will see it.
It's a good movie.
That's it for me. I'm all out because Titanic was my number
to my last one, which you guys probably both thought was going to be either Atonement or Titanic.
I thought for sure.
Do you have any thought? This is the best of the this is way better than anything you guys have even talked about yet. Can you guys think of what this might be? The ultimate love story of all time, the most passionate love story of all time, being in love.
Is this when Rhett Butler takes Scarlett upstairs to rape her?
It was the one that's like one notch just above that, like a little bit more. Really?
No.
This is like one of my favorite movies of all time.
There's not a sex scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
There is. There is the ear suck, but you don't actually see it.
That's the thing.
Which is why I couldn't include it.
Right.
Which is why I had to go with The Notebook.
Oh, sure.
My gosh. Sure. And not even because there's two scenarios in here which are like, I don't even know how to choose. So there's the one, and you can tell me what you would choose. One is, everybody's seen this movie, so I'm not even going to talk about it. One is that the initial one where it's like the newness. Like, so this is with Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling, who they're in love and they're like, they love each other in real life because they're dating and whatever. So one, like the first go around is in the mansion or whatever that he's renovating, and this is her first time scenario. So that's a whole ball game that makes the movie good. So this scenario happens in the rundown old house, and it's this sweet, soft, sensitive first time kind of thing. And then here's where things get really good. He leaves. He goes off to war. That's really tragic. So he leaves and he goes. He's gone for years. She thinks he could be dead. She thinks anything could have happened to him. And then he comes back in after years of being gone. And then there's the rain scene. Yeah. The rain scene. Mm-hmm. They come, they embrace in the rain, and then they run into this mansion. Now it's all renovated, of course, because it's all nice. And that scene is where it's like, Now we know what we're doing. And it is up against the wall, and it's like it's everywhere, and it is so good. And it's the best.
I mean, to me, the kissing in the rain is where that scene peaks. Honestly, that's what I think I could count as a great sex scene.
No,
It's sexy kiss. That's a good kiss.
That was a really good
We both
kiss.
had a top 5 kisses.
I'm
but
sure
yeah,
we did.
I don't know, sex
but
scene.
it evolved
Yeah.
from there, and it was real good. And I think everybody in this world agrees with me.
Well, I guess we'll find out when we get to audience top 5. But first, we need to get to Tim's.
I mean, I feel
number
like
one.
for the last one we talk about it, it's kind of perfect because it's like a movie that is in its entirety about sex. Like there's virtually nothing else to this film besides watch these two characters have sex. This is the extraordinarily controversial 1976 Franco-Japanese film In the Realm of the Senses, directed and written by Oshima Nagisa, based on the story of, I can't really say because it's the end of the movie, but like a very famous sex scandal in 1930s Japan in the run-up to the war. And so Oshima dramatizes the relationship that led to this scandal by having his two lead actors, one played by Matsuda Eiko, the other played by Fuji Tatsuya, just having unsimulated sex over the course of a film. The interesting thing about it is we're used to movies where characters have a lot of sex, but like we see, that's usually elided. That's the part we don't see. Like we get plot and then they go up to the bedroom and then we cut back to the plot like 3 hours later, whatever. This is the opposite of that. This is a movie that basically elides all of the plot material. And we sort of like pick it up if we know the story or if we hear them like talking about it while they're rolling around in bed. It's a very political movie. It's about like sex as a political act. Sex is an act of self-expression. Sex is an act of sort of like existing within this world that's going straight to hell, because it is Japan in the 1930s, so like things are not in a good way at this point. They're barreling towards World War II. And the final scene, which is my pick for the best sex scene out of this movie, and therefore the best sex scene in cinema, I cannot say what happens other than the culmination of these two characters expressing themselves as fully as they possibly can and just like reaching this ultimate sort of exchange of sexual potency in a way that's very powerful, very destructive, almost terrifying in its like totality.
Is it in a bed?
It's in a bed.
Is it unconventional?
Very.
Okay. Is it just the two of them?
It's just the two of them.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's any other weird things.
The title, Tim, you said in the realm?
In the realm of the
Realm.
senses.
Okay.
Another Criterion film. I think I had.
I'm intrigued why
Criterion
that
films.
what you described doesn't sound like it's wild and crazy.
I don't want to tell you what happens
okay.
because it's literally the last thing that happens in the movie.
Okay.
Like
in the realm.
literally. But yeah, very, very, very erotic movie. Very intellectually erotic, which is maybe not everyone's cup of tea. Like it's a political movie first and foremost. It is not first and foremost a sexy movie, but it is full of sex. So.
Tim, we lined up this week more than Carrie and I did, which is
I know.
That's fascinating. And you made it through, Care, talking about your top 5 sex
I feel
scenes.
good about it.
Yeah,
you
you're
guys
all
were
right?
good to me. I
I
expected
feel
this
bad.
entire
I was
thing
I was
to be filled with
expecting to
Tim's
use a
weird comments.
lot more jokes. I had a lot of them lined up.
A lot of crudity, and you didn't.
I'd spent a lot of time boning up on my euphemisms.
Well, let's check in with our audience top 5. Every week we ask you to share your picks and thoughts for a chance to win a free Amazon movie rental based on those results. Here are your top 5 picks. Tied for number 5, we had quite a few. I'll just go down the list really quick. Anomalisa, which
Okay.
Carrie, you haven't I seen?
Yeah, that movie has some stop motion puppetry sex.
Puppets doing it.
I've cooled off on that movie a lot, just as a movie.
New movie, but also made the list. Blade Runner 2049. We talked about it. I think
the
it's a great
hologram.
scene.
I rewatched the scene. I wanted to pick it because I really liked it, but you didn't see any. It clips from Make Out Till Morning, and I couldn't pick it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Is it really clip? I thought there's a.
You don't see. I mean, you see
sexuality.
the.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you see there's some stuff, but then
Here's one
you
that
don't see
would
enough.
not make Carrie's list.
Black Swan.
No.
Oh.
It is Her.
Oh, I really loved her.
Her love, if you can call it
Phone
love
sex doesn't
making.
count. Phone.
Okay.
Phone. It doesn't count.
Here's one you can definitely count. One of my picks, Showgirls, also tied for number 5. Titanic, also tied for number 5. Another one of my picks. One of Tim's picks, tied for number 5. Ooh, tu mama también. I cannot say that.
That was on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At number 2, since we've got all those ties out of the way, Team America. More puppets.
Oh, the other puppets.
The other puppets having sex. Yes.
I'm surprised Team America did better than Anomalisa.
Yeah, and then I have not heard of this movie, and I need to go check out the clip. Number 1 is Don't Look Now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
Now I need to go see this clip. Okay. For those listening, I'm sure have already turned off the podcast and are on their way to go check out Don't Look Now.
It is more in line with my 5 than your 5. Let's put it that way.
Our lucky winner this week is K Martha 12, who picked Anna Melissa, Showgirls, and Her. So good picks. K Martha 12, shoot us an email at contact@alternately.com for details on how to claim your free movie rental. If you want to win a free movie like K Martha 12, be on the lookout for a spoiler alert or top 5 movie posts on Facebook and Twitter to share your favorite picks. In closing, thanks for listening. Go out to social media. We're out there on Facebook, doing a lot of posts out there. Go out there, like it, share with your friends. Same thing on Twitter, posting a lot out there. Go on alternately.com for all of our movie reviews, podcasts, and more. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google. And don't forget about our Patreon, all those exclusive bits of content. Originally, next week, we had planned a rom-com top 5, but with
Some people we had planned.
Oh, yeah. Well, what is it?
What do we have? What is it?
What we have now is something better.
Okay.
All the rom-coms are pretty sweet. But with all the buzz going around about Black Panther, we kind of shifted last minute. We said, we talk about most anticipated summer movies, and usually spring isn't an exciting time for it, but I feel like this spring, it might be a little different.
And technically Black Panther's a winter movie, but I think we're using spring in a fairly
liberal
Catholic way.
Yeah, liberal way here. So we're doing our top 5 spring movies of 2008. So tune in then and
2008
or 2018
really
Top 5 anticipated spring movies of 2018.
Thank you. And of all the movies, we're excited to hit the big screen before the summer. So we are excited to catch you then.